Hello, and welcome to Fancast Friday, a new series dedicated to delivering fancasts for upcoming comic book movies or shows on the first Friday of each month. With the birth of James Gunn's DCU rapidly approaching with Superman filming and due to release next year, DC is still missing its foundation.
DC, the house that Batman built.
Yes, Batman, who has transcended comics to really become known as a movie character, just like how James Bond has become known for the movies instead of the books. Robert Pattinson's Batman is being planned to stay within the Reeseverse separate from the DCU, which is good, especially given the tone that Gunn seems to be aiming for with his upcoming Batman movie. Currently titled The Brave and the Bold, which will probably end up as Batman the Brave and the Bold, Gunn described it as so.
The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU.
So this confirms two major characters right off the bat. Batman and Damian Wayne as Robin. Here's one thing I'll say though. Damian Wayne's ethnicity crosses the Al Ghuls and Bruce, making him a quarter Middle Eastern, quarter Chinese, and half white. Plus Gunn said he would be 8 to 10 years old. Think Chloe Grace Moretz and Kick-Ass. So I'm not gonna bother giving a fan cast since he'll be someone you never heard of, and the range of kid actors is kind of hard to tap into. But above all, stop casting Aidan Gallagher, please. Given the title and the fact we have Pattinson already, I think it's likely that this movie will focus less on the darker, edgier side of Batman, and be willing to dive more into the comic booky aspects. So let's move on to the crown jewel, Bruce Wayne, Batman. Given he's a father, we are looking at an age range of 35 to 45 in universe, and since makeup can do wonders, the casting range is really young 30s to late 40s. But this movie will be released in 2027 at the earliest, with 10 years of the universe already planned, so we're going to cut it down to 30 to 45ish. We're also of course looking for a white guy, something Hollywood isn't in short supply of. All previous Batman actors have been some type of star, so we're not looking at scrubs or C-tier actors. There's a lot of potential options. I give you my runner-ups and top choice. But let's start with the biggest and stupidest fan cast, Jensen Ackles. Boo me if you want, but Ackles simply isn't a movie star. The amount of live-action feature-length films that Ackles has been in can be counted on one hand. He's a TV guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's clearly solid at it, but he does not fit what a theatrical Batman should be at all. Part of this fan cast, of course, stems from the fact that he has been in Batman movies. He was brilliant as Red Hood and Under the Red Hood, and is the Batman of the Tomorrowverse, a group of movies in which he gives the most boring, tired performance, and may possibly be one of if not the worst Batman voice actor ever. So yeah, no Jensen Ackles as Batman. It's bad, stop it. Some other somewhat popular fan casts that would not be considered: Keanu Reeves, Josh Brolin, John Hamm, Michael Fassbender, Anson Mount, Bradley Cooper, and this one hurts, Josh Hartnett. All these guys are simply too old or don't fit the vibe. Alan Ritchson. Currently most known for playing Reacher, he has huge ties to DC, with his acting career getting started as Aquaman on Smallville, and he also played Hawk on Titans, so why not put on another cape? The biggest, in fact. Ritchson is a pretty awesome guy from his interviews, and his openness on mental health and his faith, as seen on podcast appearances and his YouTube channel, is pretty refreshing to see. But how about him playing Batman? Well, physically, Alan Ritchson is huge. Look at him next to the previous Superman, Henry Cavill, and next to Aquaman/Lobo. Just a Hulk of a man. And I suppose the big thing people will complain about with him is that he's blonde, but boohoo, he can dye his hair, get a wig. Hair color is a very easy fix. Even if they don't, Val Kilmer was a great Batman and he had blonde hair. Didn't you say Jensen Ackles wouldn't be considering this because he's a TV actor? Yeah, well guess what, Ritchson has been in movies, good ones that he's good in, so womp womp. Go watch Supernatural for the 10th time. He's 41, so a pretty perfect spot. He looks old enough to be a dad, but also a superhero still near his prime. When it comes to his performances, his work as Hawk on Titans is overlooked. By far the best actor on the show, giving the most nuanced performance and giving a character who's quite frankly a nobody so much depth. While recognizable, he also probably would not require the paycheck that other stars might. A Skarsgård. This is my laziest pair of choices because it all centers around one fact. Bill Skarsgård worked with Andy Muschietti on It, where he played Pennywise. Yeah, I mean if Muschietti stays on board, someone from It is bound to make it in. He's also going to be playing the Crow in what looks like to be the worst movie of all time. But hey, that's an edgy superhero. But that may be the problem. Look at the guy. He naturally looks like the most devious man to ever walk planet Earth. That's what makes him so effective in Barbarian, a terrific film, everyone should watch it. It's not his mannerisms, it's just his face. Great actor, but just may forever get typecast as villains. There's a reason Robert Eggers chose him to play Nosferatu, and he's also this CG monstrosity from Eternals. He can do action though. While he didn't get to do a lot of it in John Wick 4, Boy Crow's World is another similar gun-fu, stuntman directed movie. And he doesn't look super devious there. You know, maybe his face isn't a problem. But if he were to do Batman, he'd probably be the scariest, but also may fit better in something like what Pattinson is doing. He also is 33, so probably just too young for the role. His brother Alexander is just kind of like a Swedish Viking. Look at him. Dude is huge and did a great job in the revenge epic The Northman. He can do tough and gruff for sure. Handsome playboy, the classics. He definitely feels like more prototypical Bruce Wayne than his brother. As far as the tender side, he's kinda got that in Godzilla vs. Kong, where he used to be both gruff but caring for Gia. Biggest problem for him is that he's 47, which is probably a bit too old. They are a very talented pair though, and there's a reason they are both included in the search for Lex Luthor. If they don't get this role, then I expect to see one of them joining the DCU in the near future. Swamp Thing is calling your name, Bill. Jake Gyllenhaal, another guy who has publicly said he'll be down to play Batman. And this was really surprising to me, considering that given the level of actor he is, he'd be interested in getting attached to a big franchise role for so long. And yeah, there's no denying his talent, one of the best actors right now. Whether that be Zodiac, Prisoners, Nightcrawler, Ambulance. He never fails to bring intensity and aura to his characters. One of the most captivating guys to watch on screen at this current moment. Feels like a slam dunk of a get, but one wonders what his Batman would be. He can do harsh, tough, but can he be the caring dad that he eventually need to be for Damian? That's where I struggle a bit. Given that he is such a good actor, I'm sure he can do it though, but overall watching him, it is tough to think of him as a father. Age-wise, he's 43, so at a pretty solid spot. His most notable role to general audiences may be playing Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home, a movie far below his talents. But even that was a one-off thing since he was the villain, so the fact that he's willing to possibly go 10 years in a high-profile superhero movie is wild. What playing Mysterio does allow us to glean is how he would look and move in a clunky superhero suit. And he moves pretty well, a lot of it's CGI for sure, but that's his character. And he looks pretty comfortable in a cape. He actually almost played Batman way back in 2005 for Batman Begins. He was co-writer David Goyer's personal choice. But that of course went to Bale, who went on to be maybe the best so far. Also a strange but true fact, he was offered the role of Rick Flag in Suicide Squad, but declined. If we're talking about appearance, yeah, he has that. He can play the handsome playboy. We know he can get jacked as seen in his latest movie, the Roadhouse remake, which also lets us see him clean shaven. Final choice, it came down to Ritchson and Gyllenhaal. Both very solid actors who are well known enough that audience will recognize them but won't overshadow the character of Batman. Jake Gyllenhaal was so tempting because he has the ability to really add something new to the legacy of brilliant performances. He's just one of those guys who is so good at what he does that he really can do anything required of him. And how exciting would it be to see him do something he hasn't really done before? I think he would be able to pull off being a fatherly superhero, but I struggle to see him interacting with the Supermans, the Green Lanterns, and fighting aliens with the Justice League. Gyllenhaal would ultimately succeed best in a franchise solely set in Gotham, where the craziest it gets is a Man-Bat or Clayface. Something more psychological and grounded that could truly utilize his talents in a darker setting. So my pick is Alan Ritchson, who can seamlessly flow from dark and serious to talking to someone who can melt his face off. He's got the look that says he can be a father to an annoying assassin, and also a look that you don't want to see at nighttime. And Batchin test? Pass. And there we have it, Alan Ritchson as Batman. Now I'm not stopping just at Batman, because this film will showcase the Bat family. Who does that necessarily mean? Who knows? But I think Dick Grayson as Nightwing and Barbara Gordon as either Batgirl or Oracle are safe bets, so it's time to cast those two. Nightwing, the first Robin, the one who watched his parents fall to their deaths at Haley's Circus. But one man was also in attendance that night, Bruce Wayne, who adopted Dick and eventually made him his sidekick as Robin. One thing that's been brought up with Dick Fancast is that he's Romani, kind of. It's a bit on and off in the comics, and has never really been a thing that's received heavy focus on, or really been important to the character. And as far as the talent pool of Romani actors, it's quite shallow. Especially when it comes to actors who would be able to pull off this character, fitting age range, acting ability, so on. So this won't be something I'm going to put into this fancast. I also just don't think it'll be considered by the Brave and the Bold people either. Brenton Thwaites played him on Titans, and he isn't Romani, and it wasn't an issue then, so I doubt it is now. This will however be a role where I think really anyone from any race can pull off. Age-wise, anyone from 23 to 29 would do nicely. Dylan O'Brien, arguably the most popular fancast ever for the character, made his name in Teen Wolf and the Maze Runner trilogy, but those projects are well over 10 years ago now. He's getting up there in age, and I think that counts him out. He also just seems annoyed about the fancast now, so... Brendan Perea. This guy's terrific in Nope, and has shown an interest in donning a cape, with him saying he'd be down to play Sam Alexander in the MCU. Which would be a terrible choice since Sam is like 15, but he's an interesting choice for the character fitting the age range and vibe. In Nope, he plays so well off of the other actors and just seems to have that fun energy that Dick has. Wolfgang Novogratz. This is a name that gained a lot of popularity in the lead up to the Superman casting, where for whatever reason, people start to latch onto him as a choice. They latch on so much they had to delete Instagram because Henry Cavill fans started to attack him. So maybe that could be concerning as far as him wanting to be in a franchise now that he's experienced the worst of it. But who knows, he's a young actor, 26 years old, so a perfect spot for Nightwing. And due to his youth, he may be more willing to take on a role like this. Now he obviously didn't win Superman, so how about him as Nightwing? He's got that look and soft smile that is attached to Dick. He is 6'3", which is probably a smidge tall for Dick, but height can be manipulated. He can be charming, arguably Dick's most important character trait, and he's also got that older brother vibe. Asher Angel, he did a great job of playing Billy Batson in Shazam movies, and certainly had a clear growth spurt, but he doesn't scream Dick Grayson. He's also just so easily connected to the Shazam franchise that I don't think it would be a good pick, even though he seems to want the role. He also just lacks a tangible filmography outside the Shazam movies. KJ Apa. Yes, he's from Riverdale, and he's the guy that said this.
I dropped out in the 4th grade to run drugs to support my nana.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football.
But that may be the type of show that we should be looking for a Nightwing from. Shows where a bunch of teenagers get obsessed with the lead actors. And here's the thing, Riverdale isn't devoid of talent. We just saw Charles Melton come out of that show and receive critical acclaim for his role in May December, and is now continuing to work with good talent. Camelia Mendes as well is finding a solid niche doing comedy. Riverdale has been described as essentially a boot camp for acting, given the variety of different types of performances needed to deal with all the weird stuff the show tackles. Appa himself almost had experience with DC heroes as he was going to be Zan and Wonder Twins before that got canned a few days into production. But he fits the age range and he's got the looks that Nightwing would have. And so final choice, it's gonna be a weird one, but I'm going with Appa. I believe he can follow in the steps of so many of the other talents who have come out of the Riverdale pipeline. And every problem with Riverdale is attached to the writing as opposed to the actual performances that the actors are giving. Batgirl / Oracle. For being such a high profile character, Barbara Gordon has struggled to find her way to the big screen. Originally a character created for the Adam West TV show, she was brought into the comics as Jim Gordon's niece, later retconned to being his daughter. In 1998's Batman and Robin, Alicia Silverstone played a Batgirl named Barbara Wilson, the niece to Alfred. Her other live-action appearances were on TV with the CW Birds of Prey show nobody watched or remembers, and in Titans. But then came the HBO Max movie, set to be directed by the directors of Bad Boys for Life and now Bad Boys Ride or Die. They also did some episodes of Ms. Marvel. The movie was set to bring back Michael Keaton as Batman and J.K. Simmons as Gordon, alongside having recent Oscar winner Brendan Fraser as the villain Firefly, except it ended up being cancelled for the sake of a tax write-off. One of the most pathetic things to happen, yet has unfortunately been part of a bigger trend. Release Coyote vs. Acme. Will she be Batgirl or will she be Oracle? I have no idea, but I'm gonna roll with her being Batgirl for the sake of this fan cast. So here's the Barbara Gordon casting. Leslie Grace. I mean, why not start here? She already won the casting battle once, beating out Zoe Dutch, Haley Lou Richardson, and Isabella Merced, all three of which have built solid filmographies, and Merced is making her DC debut in Superman as Hawkgirl. Grace is primarily a singer who only made her debut with In the Heights. Her movie being scrapped had nothing to do with her, it had everything to do with the corporate greed from Warner Brothers Discovery. Casting her again would be a way to somewhat right one of the biggest wrongs in the recent history of Hollywood. Brendan Fraser called her a dynamo. All the footage behind the scenes that's been released looks solid. We know the directors can cook. We've seen them work on Ms. Marvel, Bad Boys for Life. The trailer for the next one also looks like a lot of fun. The movie was going to be written by the writer of Bumblebee and Birds of Prey, both solid films. Grace's performance in The Heights was pretty well liked and has to be a reason she won the role in the first place, against much more experienced actors. So maybe there's not much to go against her. Sophia Lilas. This feels like the easiest fan cast. She worked with the director Andy Muschietti on It, and perfectly fits the age range. Alongside It, she's done blockbuster action stuff in Dungeons & Dragons, and in general has been a pretty good actress in all that I've seen her in. Recently, she even stepped into a more highly regarded space, playing a role in Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. She can do funny and clever and exemplify the nerd aspect of Barbara. Speaking of nerdy stuff, she's also apparently played Nancy Drew in a movie nobody watched, including me of course, but Nancy Drew as a character shares a lot of similarities to Barbara. But it's really Dungeons & Dragons I'm looking for to see what her performance would look like. While yes, she was in there playing an owlbear, she was also having to deal with Simon's constant pestering. Something very in tune for Dick and Barbara. If she were not to be Barbara, she would also excel as another red-headed Bat-family member in Carrie Kelly. But the performance of Batman v Superman probably killed the chance of that character making a proper appearance in live action for a while. Cailee Spaeny. Spaeny is quickly rising to the ranks of Hollywood. She's best known for playing Priscilla Presley in Priscilla, and will soon appear as the lead in Alien Romulus, which looks sick. She also just appeared in Alex Garland's Civil War, which has generated some random controversies but overall has been critically acclaimed. For Priscilla, she took home the Volpe Cup for Best Actress at Venice and was nominated for a Golden Globe. She is also set to appear in the third Knives Out movie, Wake Up Dead Man, so she's got the acting repertoire and is also building blockbuster experience. As to whether she would do comic book stuff, we have an answer because she was one of the finalists for Supergirl, a role that eventually went to Millie Alcock. She's got the acting chops clearly and is certainly poised to be one of the next big things. It's just a matter of time for more blockbuster roles to come her way that will make her a name and face people will recognize. She would handle pretty much any emotional work that they do with Barbara, and has also done lighter comedy with the really bad Pacific Rim sequel that does not exist. The one bad part of her taking the role would be that she would be on the sideline, rather than in the spotlight where she probably deserves to be. Final choice? The pick is in, it's going to be Lilas. This feels like a no-brainer, slam dunk, waiting to happen. Why not Grace? I just don't think they'll ever bring her back. And it may be better that she goes to establish her own career, rising above the cancellation of Batgirl. The big knock against Grace though is that she lacks pretty much any work outside of that. Batgirl was going to be her second movie, and she's only signed up for 2 projects since, in which she has minor roles. So I'm going with Lilas, who can perfectly play a Barbara Gordon who could play off the various members of the Bat family, from Damian to Dick to Bruce. So here we go, Sophia Lilas as Barbara Gordon. That's my main fan cast for Batman and his 2 sidekicks. Let me know your choices down in the comments below, and do the whole like and subscribe thing if you like the video.